All right, I'm going to go ahead and read the safety protocol statement. Good evening and welcome, everyone. Before we begin the proceedings of our committee meeting, I need to highlight safety protocols and expectations. Due to CDC guidance placing Kent County in the substantial risk category for transmission of the COVID-19 Delta variant, we are requiring masks indoors for anyone on the grounds of the Grand Rapids Public Schools property for all students, staff, and visitors, regardless of vaccination status. If you need a mask, these are available at the entrances. Public comment cards and meeting agendas are located on the tables within the board chambers at both entrances. Once you fill out a comment card, please submit this in the drop box next to the comment cards. Our board assistant will collect the cards when I call for public comment. I will call on each individual one at a time to address the committee at the presentation table. On behalf of the Academic Achievement Committee and administration, thank you for being here in attendance with us. All right, I will call this meeting to order.
All right, good evening, Ms. Davis, members of the board. Today we have a couple of agenda items for you. The first of which, of course, is an instructional council update. Jane Neiman is here. She is going to share the instructional council update. And then we have two additional items for you this evening, one of which is the transition to college mathematics pilot that was brought up at the Board of Education meeting. It was requested that we bring it to this committee to share a little more about it. So Ms. Amy Powney and Jonathan Harper are going to present on the pilot this evening. And then lastly, Eric Harmson is here to present on a teacher evaluation update. There have been some tweaks as it relates to teacher evaluation, and so we will have Eric present that topic. So without any further ado, Ms. Jane Neiman, please come forward for the instructional council update.
Thank you. Hi. Our instructional council met the week before Thanksgiving, and we heard a report on a pilot for Spanish speakers that is being currently conducted at Union High School. The class is going well, and the instructor is very happy with the progress. The student feedback was very positive. And so we discussed this, the future course of the class and expanding that to other schools. And also discussed potentially a testing out at the end of the year to see what kind of achievement of proficiency these students have after this particular course. So that went very well. We also heard from Amy Powney, who you're going to hear from later, so I'm not going to go into that because she's up next. And also the instructional council, it was brought to my attention that there may be a need for a writing course for English language learners. So I am waiting to get some materials and perhaps a proposed syllabus or perhaps a modification to a current composition course that we have on the books in the course guide that could be tailored to improving the writing and English skills of our English language learners. And working with a couple of teachers, Susan Clark over at Union High School, who's a wonderful teacher and has been in the district for years and has also taught ESL, and Nate Teft as well, who is our AP English and English teacher over at Union. So we're looking forward to hearing from them.
Thank you so much. Any questions?
I have a few quick questions, and I'm sorry if I missed this. I know that you spoke at the last meeting giving us kind of an intro to some of the process of how new courses are vetted. But for this course that's happening at Union, will it be both semesters? Is it a full year course?
The writing composition or the Spanish for Spanish speakers? Mm-hmm. That's a year-long course.
Okay. And so they would possibly test out at the end of each semester to see the progress?
Well, they're testing out before they get into the class. Okay. So it's we have a lot of heritage learners and students that come from Spanish-speaking backgrounds. And so they often take a placement test. We usually offer it in the fall, at the beginning of the semester, and they're also doing one again at the end of this semester. And it's a way for a lot of our English language learners, but also our heritage speakers it meets the foreign language requirement if they can place out at the novice, high, or intermediate, low level, depending on the language. And so it's a way for those students to be able to have more time to take other classes or to do dual enrollment or perhaps, participate in KCTC.
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. I misunderstood that a little bit. And then, so that is for all grades are eligible to take that course then?
Yes, so if a student were to test out in 8th grade for their first 2 years of Spanish, they could enroll in that course for a freshman, a sophomore, a junior. Students that take Spanish 1 and 2 could also take it in their junior or senior year. Absolutely. It can be an elective, or it could be, used to complete credit, but it most likely would be an elective. But just for those students that wish to pursue,
Right.
a better understanding and gain more proficiency in the Spanish language and don't have that opportunity because we're only limited to one Spanish teacher right now, he has very large classes in both first and second year. And so it's a really tight squeeze to get kids to be able to offer a third year of Spanish. So this is a nice fit because it takes some of those kids out of his beginning levels that aren't really beginners
Right.
and puts them into a more appropriate placement where they can really work on their writing, spelling, grammar skills, while continuing with the listening and speaking.
And last question. How many students are in this round?
I don't remember the number offhand, how many he has in this class.
Okay.
I can get that for you, though.
No, that's fine. Those
He
were all
does
my
have a full
questions.
class, though.
Okay.
Most of his class numbers are in the 30s or 40s, probably in the mid-30s.
Wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Jonathan Harper, Director of Curriculum. I'm joined today with Mrs. Amy Powney, our math curriculum supervisor. There you go. You have to scroll down.
Hi, good evening, Ms. Davis, Ms. Grant, Mrs. Williams. Thank you for having me. I'm here to talk about a transition to college mathematics course that we are highlighting. I'm going to give you just a little bit of background on how it came about and what the course is about and what we'll be doing. So here you have a little bit of history. So there was a grant that was provided by the Michigan Partnership for Academic Transitions that was through Michigan College Access Network. And the Grand Rapids Community College applied for this grant, specifically Raynard Russ. And part of the agreement in the grant one of the options was to work on a course such as this to support students who are typically heading for developmental math courses in their first year of college, rather than the gateway courses that are applicable to their degree. And so this was a partnership. He approached us about, and me specifically, about working on this course for our students. And so we have partnered with them and designing this senior level transition course for the students who specifically are not necessarily college ready at the end of their junior year, right? So through measures of the SAT, and students who are not typically interested in a fourth year math class of pre-calculus or AP statistics if they're not STEM oriented or going in that direction, rather than a financial literacy course or some other math related course that they take. This is an opportunity for them to continue to work on that college level readiness mathematics that they sometimes miss for a whole year if they take a different pathway other than pre-calculus or AP statistics. And so that's really the purpose of this class, right, is we're looking to close equity gaps, specifically racial equity gaps, by increasing their access to and success in these gateway mathematics courses. You can see some of the data there is basically saying for 90% of GRPS students that go to Grand Rapids Community College end up placing in a developmental math course. And only about 10% of them end up finishing the gateway course in that first year. So that means that they're still working in developmental math that whole first year of their time at Grand Rapids Community College. And that's using up precious funds that they have from the scholarship and things like that to do classes that aren't actually getting them toward graduation. And so rather than having that gap of a year where they're not working on those college level readiness skills, we wanted to offer something that was going to address that and along with some other things to help ensure the success and the ability to hopefully go into a college level credit bearing gateway course. So our collaborative group between Grand Rapids Community College and GRPS met throughout last year, and specifically a lot of time in the summer to develop this course, and we're focusing on 3 major areas in this course. So we're focusing on the mathematical reasoning, the academic content knowledge, so those actual math skills that are Algebra 2 and beyond, right, to make them college ready. And then the social emotional academic development skills that are just necessary for college success, right? And so you can see who the course development team was. We had a teacher from Union High School, a teacher from CA Frost, 2 math instructors from GRCC, myself and Mr. Ross. And we were the team that was working on building this course. So to just give you a little bit of background, so the mathematical reasoning piece of it, so we're trying to help students focus on those practices and processes that they need to develop to demonstrate mathematical understanding. And we want them to build a repertoire of problem-solving strategies, so there'll be a focus in the class part of the time that'll be around building that repertoire of strategies, developing their communication and collaboration skills through teamwork and group work, and then just their self-identity as a mathematical thinker and a mathematician, right? Like seeing themselves as a mathematician, that self-awareness piece. And then in the content knowledge area, that's obviously just building those math skills that they need. And the idea here, so at the board meeting, you heard about the Alex software purchase, and that's where this came from. This is software that will give a diagnostic to assess where students are, so students will be able, when they're doing this part of the class where they're working with Alex, it is going to prescribe to let them work at the placement that they're at and work their way up through a course that's called College Preparedness in the Alex software. It's a college preparedness course. And so it creates a pathway for them, and it's the same platform. The benefit of this is it's the same platform that many of our 2- and 4-year institutions use for their placement testing. So students will already be getting that familiarity with that. So if they were to want to go to GRCC or Ferris or any of those schools that use it, they're going to be on the same system taking that placement test that they were using in this course. So that's also a plus to have that familiarity with that. And it gives them it gives both the teacher and the student a lot of robust feedback on where they're at and what they need to work on. And so that will be the academic content piece of it. And then in each of the units that they're working on while they're working on problem-solving strategies, they're also going to be working on these social-emotional academic development skills. So different things like growth mindset, right? Time management, self-advocacy, self-care, stress management, note-taking, test-taking skills, study plans, goal setting, all those different kinds of things. Many of the same things that you can get from a college success center, right? So we are using many of the national resources that came from various colleges and things like that to promote within each of our units these kinds of skills. Hoping that we're doing this in advance rather than waiting until, right, we have that freshman year where we haven't figured it out yet. And it takes a while for a student to figure that out and navigate their way to that help, but rather giving that to them that senior year in that piece. So pretty important piece of this. And then the other piece is that we're going to continue this ongoing partnership. Students are going to have lots of opportunities. We've talked about having student panels of GRCC students speaking to our seniors about the types of expectations and things that they can expect when they're in a college course, things that, what would you like if this is your, younger sibling or cousin that's going to school? What do you want them to know about the expectations? And having student panels. Having faculty from GRCC, so Mr. Neal, Oscar Neal, who was on the group as a math instructor, has worked with our students in the past at Union in Ottawa. He will be coming to visit classes, and then Mr. Ross or someone from his Success Center planning to have speakers there, taking a field trip to CC in the spring, hoping to do that. And just that continued collaboration of the teachers that will be teaching the course, checking in with instructors and us meeting sort of as a group to make sure the implementation of this class goes smoothly and that we achieve the goals that we're setting. Do you have any questions for me about the course?
When is the first one?
So it's going to happen in the fall.
Okay.
And it's being piloted at Union High School And we are also looking at, because we did have an instructor from CA Frost that helped to build the course, we're hoping to run it there. And I also was just speaking with the principal at UPrep today as well. So we may be piloting it in all 3 of those locations. But we know we absolutely have a spot at Union.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, no, this sounds like a wonderful course, so thanks for all the work on that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amy.
Good afternoon, Ms.
Hello.
Davis, Ms. Grant, and Mrs. Williams. Nice to see you today. So I'm going to talk about teacher evaluation and give you a quick update. I wish I could go back 3 years and whatever PowerPoint I presented to all of you then, I could just make a few tweaks, but unfortunately, with everything that's going on with COVID and changes we've had to make, I'm just going to give you an update where we're at right now. The one things that we've learned around teacher evaluation is the need to be flexible and to listen to our stakeholders about the process. So I'm going to talk briefly about a few things and have some time at the end if you have any questions. So one of the things when we started the year, we were going to act like it was a normal year. We were going to do teacher evaluations, observations the same way, and then quickly realized that that was not going to be a possibility, and listen to our stakeholders, our principals, our teachers, and reduce the number of required observations. So with all of the changes in evaluation laws or changes that haven't been made, one that was made that was beneficial is that teachers, in the law, the requirement for the number of observations used to be 2 and now it's 1. With the caveat that you have to be at least effective in the previous 2 years. So we looked at that law and decided to reduce the number of observations for quite a bit of our folks. And it makes sense for 2 reasons. Number one, again, because of the workload, all the extra things everybody's doing. But it also provides the opportunity to focus on the folks who need the help the most. So when you look at differentiating support around teacher evaluation, you want to focus on some of those folks who are maybe struggling, because if they're struggling, then it may have a negative impact on our scholars. So we always look at how can we improve practice, improve outcomes for scholars. So allow evaluators to focus on providing additional support. So those are any teachers new to the profession. So they had 3 observations. We're going to continue to have 3 observations because they're new to the profession, and we know how hard it is when you're brand new at something. So you probably don't remember this, but how we weight the observations for new teachers is their first one only counts for 10% of their overall observation rating. So for all the other teachers, depending on how many observations they have, it's all weighted equally. So if I have 3, it's 33, 33, 33. If I have 2, it's 50 and 50 for the 2 observations count. But for new, it's 10% for the first one, 40 for the second, and 50 for the third. And that allows teachers who a lot of times, because they're brand new, are at least minimally effective or ineffective in that first observation, but by the second one, they're effective. But we saw and heard that people are saying, well, I could be highly effective on my second or third observations and still not be effective overall. And so we made that change. That was probably quite a few years ago since we made that change. So this is around here. In the first 2 years with GRPS, so again, we want to make sure that we understand the practice of teachers who are brand new to the district, not brand new to the profession. So they'll continue to have 2. And then anybody less than effective, either the previous 2 years, they'll have to have 2 observations by law. And there's not a whole lot of those folks. I'll give you some data in a minute. So 3-year highly effective will not be evaluated in 2021, 2022. So one of the gifts that the state gave us, sorry, I'm being sarcastic, I gotta watch that. That they gave us last year was in November after the school year had started. They said, oh, guess what? All your folks who are on those highly effective, 3-year highly effective, who don't have to be evaluated this year, have to be evaluated this year. So they changed and said this year If they were highly effective, again, 3-year highly effective, then they don't have to be observed. The only negative of that, now all the 3-year highly effectives don't get observed pretty much the same year. So in the past, when it spread out the workload a little bit, but so that is what we're following that. Here's just a quick chart of the minimum number of scheduled and unscheduled. So part of the law is if you have multiple observations, you have to have at least one unscheduled. So for probationary teachers new to the profession, they have 2 scheduled and 1 unscheduled. If you have 2, 1 scheduled, 1 unscheduled. The tenured teachers and probationary teachers in year 3 or 4 or 5 who just have that 1, I checked with Sharon Pitts, and her legal advice after reading the law was that that could be scheduled, and we felt, and from stakeholder feedback, that was the best way to go, is go through the process, the pre-observation, the observation, and post-observation. Tenured teachers with an IDP, they will continue to have 4 to provide additional support to improve their practice. And I think we only have maybe 3 or 4 teachers who are tenured who are on IDP. I think that's a really testament to the strength of the system and how it has improved practice. In previous years, I've done charts with how it has improved, how many we've gone from minimally effective to effective, but I didn't want to share that because I'm not, with the COVID data, just like evaluation data, just like anything else, it's just so different how it was measured. I didn't want to share that. So last year we had 0 ineffective, 7 minimally effective, 385 effective, and 432 highly effective. So I think that was a couple of factors in that. We had more effective and highly effective than usual. Part of that was probably based on that student growth was the same for everybody, that it was effective 2.0, which was based on district student growth. So that helped some people, but also may have hurt other people. But as we get further along, and I think people, our teachers have improved their practice based on the system, understanding the system better, some tweaks we've made. This reflects teacher practice maybe a little on the high side last year than previous years, but right around where we've been. So I think it's a testament to our teachers and their effectiveness and how hard they work every day for our scholars. So we will continue to seek feedback from stakeholders. We'll monitor change in state law. Student growth is still 40%. I don't ask that question anymore because I don't know if they'll change it. There's been a lot of talk about 25%, but it's just not a legislative priority. So if we will continue to push and lobby to reduce that number, but we will always follow state law. But we will continue to seek feedback from stakeholders and other folks on what's that going to look like. Right now, the plan is to have it similar, that teachers would have their own classroom growth. But again, this is such a different year. We're going to use common sense and, again, talk to people to say what is really the best way to measure teacher effectiveness. We are just finishing up our evaluator calibration certification training, so that there's a very rigorous training protocol that occurs. So we have 9 new evaluators this year. They spend a full day with me in a classroom going over the process. We look at videos, we do some practice, looking at teaching videos, and we do some ratings, and then we have some discussions, and I push pretty hard on them around what evidence are they using and how are they making ratings, because it's just so important that we have consistency in our ratings, our teacher observation ratings across the district. So they spend a day in the classroom with me, and then they spend another 4.5 hours in a building, and we actually do 2 teacher observations where they collect evidence, and then they rate, and then they have to, their ratings need to be compared to my ratings, and then they get feedback based on how accurate they are. So that's phase 2, and then phase 3 is the actual calibration certification training. I think it's important that that is an outside entity. It's not something that somebody in the district. It is a national expert, Jalila Dukes, who knows our district really well, and has been doing this training for a long time with us, and really does an amazing job coaching and making sure that our evaluators are able to do observations and are certified. So sometimes you don't pass. If you don't pass, then you do it again. So you pass and you don't observe until We have 16 other evaluators in their first 3 years who went through just the certification training this year. And we stopped having everybody being certified every year because there's a lot of us who've been doing 11 and 12 years. We've been highly effective every time we've done it because we're well practiced. We will, however, continue a rotation. So now that we've done everybody in their first 3 years are completed, then we will start putting in some of the more seasoned folks on a rotation to make sure they're certified and keep up on their skills. One thing that we're excited about introducing is educational impact on-demand Danielson professional learning videos and courses. So currently there's 2, Charlotte Danielson's teaching framework and 22 components of great teaching. Information will be going out before the holiday break to teachers on how to access those. So we're really excited about that. So if I'm a teacher and I want to know what does Charlotte Danielson say about component 2A or component 3B, I can go and watch this video. Or if I want to go through the whole process of the videos and some activities, I can get professional learning credit when I complete the videos and the activities.
You can get like sketches for that, or?
Yeah, we'll be able to get sketches for that. Everything we do under PD, if it's the state says it can be sketches, we do sketches. All right. Any questions about teacher evaluation?
I think one that came up for me is just are most of the evaluators building principals that know the teachers outside of that observation, or?
So almost all our building principals or assistant principals will do the evaluations, so they usually split them up in the buildings. So we always try to have, the only caveat is some of our fine arts teachers, sometimes our coordinators will go and do a few to either take the load off some of our principals who have a lot, also to make sure that they tend to do evaluations of our newer fine arts teachers, but mostly it is principal or assistant principal, if there is one, in the building that will do the evaluation. So yes, they'll know the teachers. Occasionally, somebody from outside of a building will go in. I go in at times to do observations and give feedback. Sometimes I go in to assist some principals with a heavy workload of evaluations and observations.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is our last meeting of the calendar year. And so I'm assuming we'll have lots of topics moving forward into the next year. Of course, we will be preparing for you soon an update on the academies at Ottawa Hills. We're continuing to plan. We've got a field trip tomorrow to a vocational education school in Detroit. I'm heading out there with Stephanie Davis and Mr. Rodney Lewis just to continue to get smarter around recruitment efforts and programming and things of that nature. So we'll bring that to you early in the year if that's something you'd still like to see. Are there any other items on which we can focus when we get back to you in January and February?
I have not at this time. Do you
I
have
don't
any?
have any right now.
Okay.
Would this committee be the appropriate committee to this group to share about the academic supports our students are getting?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I would like really more information around that. What are we currently implementing? What does it look like with regards to outcomes? What is our plan going forward? I know we received quite a few COVID dollars that could be used around that, so I'm really want to make sure that we are using those dollars, particularly to provide the students those support. And again, what kind of measurements we're getting from that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So one major initiative that I can share at this time is, of course, our intercession work that is going to be happening over the holiday break. What we did is we targeted our students who are exhibiting challenges in mathematics and reading. We know that some families want to take 2 weeks off, and we totally understand that, especially during these very stressful COVID times. But there are some families that still want their students to stay engaged over the holidays. So we have 6 days of programming over the holidays. We have right now over 10 teachers who have stepped up district-wide to support our scholars, and we have more applications coming in every day. We communicated with all of our families, both U.S. mail, robocall, website, Google Doc, things of that nature. And so we continue to have more scholars sign up every single day. So that's just one thing that we're doing where, for the most part, in previous years, we've shut the district down entirely for the holidays, but because so many students have gotten behind as a result of COVID, we will be having what we're called intercession programming. So that's just one thing. There are other tutoring opportunities that are available to students both before school and after school that schools are taking advantage of. So those are just a couple of things, but we can give you a comprehensive list. Are those some of the things that you're thinking about, or is it something totally different?
Yes, that's exactly what
Okay.
I'm thinking
Got
about.
it.
And just kind of would like to know the impact those programs are having, since we'll be at just past the midpoint for the year.
Absolutely.
So that if we need to add additional supports or do different things, that we're looking ahead to do that as well.
That's right. And with every single expenditure that's connected to academics, there will be a metric. So is that the MAP test that was given at the beginning of the school year? Is it a diagnostic assessment that was given before the intervention took place? We will ensure there's a metric attached to every single thing.
Is that intercession for K-12?
So it is for K-12, but at the elementary level, K through 8, it's more of a tier 2 intervention specifically for mathematics and reading. The high school level will be exclusively credit recovery. So high school students who are working on their Edgenuity courses, what we'll do is we'll have opportunities for our staff members, our professional staff members, to engage with them for 9 hours per week during intercession. Of course, students can continue working weekends, nights, but we will have 3 hours, 3 days per week over intercession where teachers can interact with students if students need additional help.
Sorry, is that in person?
No, it's all virtual.
Okay.
Everything is virtual.
Thanks.
No problem. Any other questions?
I was just gonna note that this committee may look different
Sure, yeah,
for
absolutely.
the next presentation.
Absolutely.
but, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll have to talk about,
We'll have to talk about what that looks like.
yeah,
but-
since we meet the first week of the month
Absolutely.
right
So
now.
just giving us some ideas on what's to come. And of course, we will bring some ideas to this committee as well. But we love to hear your thoughts.
Awesome.
All right?
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Happy holidays,
Happy holidays. Have a
everybody.
great evening.
Thank you.